Welcome back, AI War 2 fans. It is Rob again from eXplanation, and I'm here again with the third episode now of the Beginner's Guide. In this episode, we're going to talk about our beginning setup for this initial planet that we have here. I'm going to go ahead and unpause it so we can let some of this stuff get built while I'm talking. But basically, what we want to do is make sure that this planetary system is capable of defending the AI period, right? So what's most important about this particular starting system is that it has your human home command station. And if this gets destroyed, you lose the game. So it's really important to make sure that this starting system is very well defended. It doesn't have to be super well defended in our case because there's only one way that these guys can come from, but we're still going to leave it with a pretty moderate to advanced defense system so that if for some reason they get past our defenses in other systems, they don't come through here and destroy our one human home. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to lose that. With that being said, there's a few things you need to do from the very get-go. So we're going to go ahead and pause again. And one of the most important things you can do to increase your starting defense strength is to increase your starting command fleet strength. And by that, I mean we need to upgrade our command fleet here at Orion. What we do in order to do that is come over here to the Fleets tab. And any command fleet is going to have the system name and then the letter CMD beyond it. Just like command, it's very easy to understand, right? Well, as you can see, we talked about mark levels in a previous episode. Well, each mark level, of course, represents its strength. And all of these things here at this particular planet system are all mark level 1. Not very strong, right? They're all at the very bottom level. What we can do to easily and quickly upgrade this is to use science to upgrade this particular command fleet. By doing that, each of these are going to upgrade a mark level. So we're going to start with 1, and I'll show you. Now they're all mark level 2, so they've all become more powerful immediately, right? We're going to do this one more time because it's very important to keep our home system very powerful. So now that we've done that, what I want you to see is the quick reference point, right? So if you mouse over this and we unpause this, you'll see at the bottom where the tooltip is, it says your mobile strength is 10 and my immobile strength is 0.95. Well, now that we're going to start building some turrets and start to defend this system, that immobile strength is going to go up quite a bit. So what we can do is we can come over here to build turrets. And what we want to do is we want to take our force field and we want to reinforce this force field. So let's say that they get in there and they actually destroy this force field. Well, we want to have one other one that's going to help our command station from getting destroyed. Okay. That way, it's just sort of like overlapping. Overlapping is a good idea in a lot of cases. Next up, we're going to use Pike Turrets. Pike Turrets have a great range, and they're actually pretty strong for an early level turret. So what we want to do is also place them between our one wormhole here and our command station so as to make it more difficult for the AI forces to get right through them, right? So we can hit the control button, we can hold the control button and then click. And what that does is drop 5 of them all in one place. All right, so that can be the kind of like the main focus for the AI as they start to come in. And then what we can do is also drop a few maybe back behind it. And then a couple over here. And we're doing this because A, we want to, again, kind of prevent them from moving forward, create a small wall. But we also don't want to put them all too close to each other because there are enemy weapons that eventually can create AoE damage or area of effect damage that we want to kind of prevent from destroying all of our turrets at once. So we'll bring a couple more over here. And now we have like a little system, like a little wall here. They can kind of come into, they're going to come in through here. They're going to start getting blasted as soon as they walk. They come through this wormhole and the likely focus on this larger group here, but they're also going to be hit by some of the turrets that come through as well. Next up, we could also use some force fields on some of these turrets, but that's not nearly as important. And it's actually not always a good idea because the damage that comes out of the force fields is also reduced. But what we can do is use tractor arrays. So we've got a Mark III tractor array, and that locks onto enemy ships and prevents them from moving. So as they come through, now they're going to get kind of locked into this position. And at least for a moment, that's going to slow them down, and our turrets are going to do their thing, right? So we're going to do a couple more Pike turrets.
We'll find a way.
And maybe just one more in the middle. And then we're going to unpause. So we're going to see this number jump up rather significantly and very quickly. All right, that's what happens as our engineers here start to build out the various system defenses here at this planet. So you can see they're all getting built. We're going to go ahead and increase the speed so we can get them going a little bit faster. All right, so some of the good early turrets are definitely your pikes. Pikes are solid first defense for this game, and like I said, we use these tractor arrays to keep the enemy AI ships coming in. We just basically slow them down a little bit. We can also use tachyon arrays as the AI starts to use cloak ships. So one of these tachyon arrays will reveal any AI ship that comes through that's been cloaked, and that'll help us destroy it. All right, and I want to come back to this. As you're dropping these turrets, you can always use the Z key to see other turret ranges, right? So if you have, maybe let's do a couple ambush turrets, right? We can come over here and we can see the range of the other turrets as we mouse over the other turret and hit and hold the Z key. So now maybe we do a couple turrets, a couple ambush turrets over here, and a couple ambush turrets over here. And I think this is a pretty good system defense. In fact, it's going to be pretty high, maybe a little too high, but that's fine. I'd rather do it too much than too little and have to suffer as a result of being, you know, too little fortified here. So now our system defense level is 39, which is good. And some of this 15 too, because the frigates are clearly mobile, although they're not necessarily mobile between stations, or that you don't normally use them to be mobile between stations. So as you kind of reference that number compared to the number 11 here, you can see that we're in a pretty good starting stage right now. So that's great, right? So we can also come back and look at our assault frigates, right? We can add a couple more assault frigates. Now these guys are a little bit more powerful than your Watchman frigates, but they're also pretty expensive. So I'm only going to do a couple. Might do 3 here actually instead. So with that, we've got a decent system set up. We're going to go ahead and start looking at tech. We have 13,000 science. We need to spend it, right? One of the first things that I would suggest doing is increasing your station defenders, or sorry, your station keepers tech, because it only costs 250 science, which is really low compared to everything else. And it's a quick upgrade that you can make to you know, increase your defense here. Look how quickly our immobile defenses have already increased in number and in strength. So that's very important, and it's also super cheap, so you should just do it. All right, well, before we start getting into the next episode, there are some things that I want to talk about, right? So first of all, let's talk about our tech choices for the rest of our ships. And what we want to do with that is look at our fleet. We have a strike fleet. It's Strike Erebrands, right? And we can edit the name. We're going to call it Strike. Let's go ahead and call it Stripe Explominate. And with Explominate here, what we want to do is look at the various different ship lines of what is actually within this transport ship. Ship lines you can consider basically as fleets, right? As small fleets or as small like squadrons. And the various squadrons of this transport ship are upgraded by certain techs. If you look over as I mouse over this, as the mouse over tooltip shows up, at the bottom of the mouse over tooltip, it says upgraded by techs. For this one, it's upgraded by the core weapon technology and the light hull technology. For concussion corvettes, it's upgraded by the artillery weapon technology and the light hull technology. For heavy fusion bombers, it is upgraded by the piercing weapon technology and the heavy hull. And then finally, the force field frigate is upgraded by the force field's defense technology and the heavy hull technology as well. So with that being said, we have piercing, artillery, and core that we want to consider upgrading. So we come over here, we scroll up to the top, we have core. We're going to go ahead and upgrade core. We're going to go down to piercing. We're going to go ahead and upgrade piercing. And we might do 2 artillery. just to kind of help out our long-range attack capabilities. So let's go ahead and do that. And with that, we can also come back out to the system view and start to see our mobile fleet strength increase as we start to mark up our new ships. So that's a good indicator of how strong our fleets are. And of course, 25 is greater than 11. So we have a good, a decent idea of how strong we are compared to the system defenses here at Trawl. All right. Well, so now we have that, right? So we have some upgraded ship lines. Our transport ship is pretty much ready to go. We can click on it. We're going to go ahead and pause it just for now. We're going to click on it. I'm going to go ahead and have the ship load all of its ships. And you can do that by hitting the L button real quick. So we're going to come out here and start to consider what things we want to attack. We're not going to attack anything just yet, but I want to start to talk about the considerations that you should have for your early strikes. Now, in this case, we only have one place that we can really strike. Of course, we could go straight through Trawl and strike up here at Rulif. But the great thing about our situation right now is that the thing that I would recommend most about your early hacking and early stealing and early guerrilla tactics and all that stuff is that you find a transport flagship that you can use and take it. What's more about this particular system is that not only do we have a transport flagship that we can take, we also have the turret schematic server that we can hack into and steal turrets, and we have the advanced research station. This is a great system for us because the research station also allows us to add ship lines, so add squadrons to our transport ships. So this is a great system to take. It's almost a no-brainer. And in fact, it is a no-brainer, really. This is a beautiful starting system, all right? And this is where we're going to attack. If you had more options, you still would likely take a transport flagship almost every time. And I say that because it's really good to get more ships and to make your strike fleets more capable. What you do with these transport flagships is a matter of debate. So some people will use these to act as a second fleet, act as a fleet that can not only attack and go behind enemy lines like your transport flagship here, but also act as sort of like a mobile defense fleet. But there's also some strategy in taking this particular transport flagship, unloading all of those ship lines onto your original transport flagship, and then sending this one home. I say that because as we mouse over it, you can see it. It says off, 1.1 times metal per second, and 1.1 energy produced at this planet. So what happens is if you have this particular ship hanging out at one of your planetary stations, they're going to help the resource production at that planet. That's important, right? Especially early game when you need a lot of these resources, you need a lot of things going on, and you're going to start building a lot of things quickly. So we're going to talk more about that in the next episode. So with that next episode, we're going to talk about taking this system, what we do once we take that system, and of course, whether or not we send this one home or we add ship lines to it and add it as a second fleet. So until then, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please leave them in the comments below. And until next episode, this is Rob from eXplanation. Keep exploring.